Hi, welcome to Gifts. This is God's Insight for the Soul. I am Bridget, and my lovely co-host Lori and I created this space as a safe space for two or three people to join us at a time. And you can ask a question, you can provide a situation that you'd like a little more insight on, or we can pull an angel card. And Lori and we um, live our life on a belief that there is one power and it is benevolent. I call that power God. And we love sitting in his presence and being in communication with him. So when we started this endeavor, we wanted to bring people together and share God's insight with one another. We all have a communication with our creator. And so the insight that Lori and I will verbally share, we just ask that you tap in and see how that message is meant for you today. So whether you're the one asking the question or you're on the call with us, or you're even tuning in later and you hear there is a message in this for you. So ask yourself, how is God speaking to me today? And anything else, Lori?
No, I love it. Let's get
Awesome.
started.
Awesome. All right, Dee, let us know what you got going on.
Well, it's interesting because usually my pattern has been you guys pull a card. And so this time I have a topic that I want to like work through and process. And
Mm,
basically I made a decision on a couple days ago of I wanted to stay on my schedule and somebody else was running late and I chose to stick to my schedule and not pick them up. Um, and this person often runs behind schedule, and I don't. Most times I don't. Um, and it was also my birthday. So I was feeling very entitled. Like I was like, this is my day. I'm gonna do and be at the places I want to be at. Um, and so now it's been, 2 days later, and it's still rubbing me in like in the moment, I was absolutely okay with, or maybe I wasn't. Maybe that's why it's sticking around. I was okay with making that decision to basically say no to this person. I'm not picking you up. You have to get there yourself. Um, but it's still, I'm questioning whether or not how I should apologize.
Okay. Oh,
I
I'm
know.
like, I was gonna be all sit sweet and nice and I was getting all of the downloads for what I get to say until that. Now I'm like, oh
Yeah,
no.
I know. I
Here
was like,
comes the
oh,
mama bear that says, absolutely not. Now, let's talk about the difference between the energy of doing the right thing. And when I say the right thing, alignment. I will
mm-hmm,
rephrase. Let's talk about the energy of doing aligned action
mm-hmm.
and how we do aligned action.
Okay.
Okay. So, having a boundary that you are on time is your way of being.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
There's no apology for I left you. There's no apology for I didn't give you a ride. There's no apology for leaving somebody behind. There's no apology for that. Now, here's where an apology might be. And guys, I don't know what happened, so I'm making shit up for the sake of what's coming in for D. Okay? If you had called and said, "Oh, you know what? I totally can't even pick you up. Sorry about it." Click. There's no apology needed because you were just functioning within your boundaries. If, however, you called and you were like, God, I can't believe you're late. You're an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Or no, I'm not picking you up, blah, blah, blah. Like, right. Okay. I'm sorry for how I delivered that. There's a difference
Mm-hmm.
between what you're sorry for. So
Mm-hmm.
when you were initially started talking, what came up was you get to have permission. If you've never had permission before this moment, I'm giving you permission to have boundaries. Now, when we come from a childhood where our parents didn't allow us to have boundaries, we find something wrong with boundaries, because if we ever exercised said boundaries, our parents would punish us, reject us, make us feel bad, give us the look, pull away from, which taught our nervous system what? I'm not allowed to have boundaries. So it will be uncomfortable as we get older to learn how to exercise said boundaries. And we are allowed to. If, however, our defensive side of us comes out when we're exercising said boundaries, we might have to apologize for the delivery. But you never, ever, 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 from this moment forward, know in you, I'm allowing this to be embedded in your nervous system. There is nothing wrong with you having boundaries. This is the vessel that God gifted you. And we are called to love and protect and nourish and hold in high esteem this boundary of us. And you get to do that. And you, if God is telling you, Dee, I've created you to be somebody who holds a very high standard for being on time. And you no longer need to utilize that gift in fear. You get to utilize that in love and just say, you know what? I'm so sorry. I really want to be there on time. I'll see you whenever you get there. I love you so much. Bridgit?
Yes. The first, as soon as you started talking, I saw you just standing so strong in, in you. You like to be on time and standing strong. And I was like, yes, good. Like, I was like, huge kudos to you. And then, yeah, as the story progressed, and Dee, I just want to encourage you anytime that we stand for the first time in that, no, this is who I am. I'm going to put myself first. That's be super, super selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel all of the where being selfish is not right. I'm supposed to, in order to be in relationship, I need to make other people like meet their needs. I need to meet their needs. I need to meet their needs. And this standing strong in yourself kind of went, like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just what Lori was saying, it because the first time we do it, it is hard
Yeah.
to allow yourself to be that super selfish.
Mm-hmm.
But and knowing I love how Lori put it, like, this is the vessel.
Mm-hmm.
You were created with certain that, like, we all have different DNA. So it's like your DNA, D, 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 that's how you're created. And when we don't stand strong in that, then we go, "Meow."
Mm-hmm.
And then it's easier for the next time us to like not stand strong again versus standing strong and being super, super selfish. Um, the other thing that I got was like when it came to the apology piece, like you're struggling with, do I apologize? And I just got this like, because we're meant to do life in relationship, but we can choose who we have those relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
And first and foremost, being super, super selfish in that relationship with yourself allows others to choose to be in a relationship with you.
Thank you.
And that choosing yourself first can be a hard choice to make,
Mm-hmm.
but it also allows others to then stand in themselves strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all of it, there's nothing wrong. There wasn't anything that, like, congratulations and good job. And continue to give yourself permission to stand strong. And those things that come up, like, oh, do I need to apologize? Oh, like all of those things,
Yeah.
allow yourself to feel those. And then remember what it felt like to stand strong,
Yeah.
to
That's
say no. And sometimes when other things are coming up, remembering what it felt like determine uh, can help allow us determine if the stuff coming up is something to act on, or if it's that dross, those underlying beliefs that are just programmed in us, right?
mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
go back to what that felt like. No, it's my birthday. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to be selfish. And then feel what those other things that come up feel like. Do they feel as strong, or do they just feel like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank you.
All right. Well, on days that we only have one person,
Oh.
we want that group aspect of
Mm-hmm.
now D being able to step and be the observer.
Mm.
Because, guys, we're in it and we're the observer. And if D's the only one, she's always in it. So
Mm.
now Bridget and I are going to draw a card, and then I'll read for Bridget and Bridget will read for me. However, this will be able to solidify what we just did with D, but D will be able to be the observer of how we're receiving it, so that it can embed more. Because sometimes when it's our story, it's harder for it to penetrate. But when we're the observer and we're not in the emotion of it, we can see it from that data perspective and go, yes, I'll have that. I'll have that. Right? So, Bridget, would you like deck A, 99, or Gertrude?
Gertrude.
Okay, Gertrude it is.
I love that.
Just a label. I used to call my daughter all the time when I'd be in the midst of a thing. I'm like, I don't know. And I'd want some insight, and I'd call her and I'd go, A or B, A or B. And like, I could feel sometimes that she was tapping into my energy to see what I wanted her to answer instead of what was coming up for her. And so I started throwing in like 8 or 9, and she's like, you can't do that. I'm like, it's just a label. And so then she had to tap back into her intuition and not be tapping into how to please me or how to give me what I want. And it was such a beautiful picture of just growth and how we stay stuck in a pattern and all the things. So anyway, that's where that came from, if you want to know. All right. Here it is. Here is your picture. Oh. Wait for it. Okay. There we go. Ascended Master. Powerful, loving, and wise spiritual teachers are watching over and guiding you. Here's what came up when Ascended Masters came up. I'm like, yes, Bridget, you are one. Yes. Right? And guys, this is where, if you are watching this you're probably a powerful, loving, wise, spiritual teacher in some facet. Either you're intuitive but you are called to function at a higher level. If you are watching this, if you are in my realm of influence, that's what you came to the planet to exercise, because that's who I teach, right? So sometimes we don't recognize ourselves as ascended masters. Well, why? Well, because we have this human part of us, so we don't get all cocky and arrogant and like then become a cult leader, right? Our human side of us actually allows us to stay grounded. So when we come here to do ascended master stuff, be powerful, loving, and wise spiritual teachers, we can very easily get pulled away into all of that knowledge and forget the intimacy and relationship of those that we are teaching, right? And so recognizing yourself as a powerful, loving, wise spiritual teacher and a human that sometimes fucks up, sometimes hurts people's feelings, sometimes gets caught up in that you're wise and a spiritual teacher, right? But don't get stuck in this and not honor and lead the way that God has called you to lead. And this is where the 100% spirit, 100% human is so fun, because on the spirit side, we're same. But on the human side, we're different. And when you step up and say, I am better than someone else in my wisdom of spiritual insight, that's when you can actually lead. But if you're like, no, we're same, now you're actually lowering yourself and you're using the law of the spiritual side, which is same, to actually keep yourself small and sabotage actually rising up to be somebody who can lead and guide. Right? And that is the integration of both. Yes, energetically, we are all the same. We're all valuable. We're all worthy. And in the physical, I have to remember, I do know more. I have more experience, right? And we call that better. But what if it's just different yet higher, so that you can lead people that direction?
Yes, thank you. I love that that image of being the example of the possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank
All right,
you.
Dee, why don't you choose the deck that my card comes from? I'm going to rearrange them. So would you like me to choose from deck A, deck 99, or deck Gertrude? Oh, you're muted.
99.
Okay. 99. Same deck, which I think is funny. And okay, going back to just really quick, and Dee, how do you fit into what I just said to Bridgit, right? How are you, because even if you're somebody who's using your intuition, you're still leading people who aren't currently maybe using their intuition, and you're giving them that possibility of the ease and the greater flow of how it feels to be in a room that has energetically been aligned to them, as opposed to how the person on the DIY says this is the best way to decorate. Well, not for everyone, right? So again, you may not be like teaching the Bible or spiritual truths, but you're still a powerful, loving spiritual teacher, right? because we don't have to teach. We lead, and that is being the teacher of what's possible. Okay, pulling my card. Twin flame. Okay, it says, the answer to your question, that means I have a question that I didn't even know I had, guys. Good luck with this, Bridgit, because I don't even know what my question is. You're welcome. The answer to your question involves a spiritually based romantic relationship. A spiritually based romantic relationship. Good luck, because you don't just have to come up with the answer, you have to come up with the question. Congratulations for your amazing, powerful, loving, spiritual teacher role that you get to play for me.
So, can you read it? Can you read it one more time?
Oh shit. Yes. Hold, please. Where did I put it? Hold on. Well, I just threw it back in the middle of this deck, and okay, let me do this real quick. $102. Okay, it says the answer to your question involves a spiritually based romantic relationship.
Yeah, so the picture felt very mother holding a child. I'm not exactly sure what the picture was, but it felt like mother holding a child. And so as you started to talk, I just kept getting like this very motherly relationship. And I love that you shared the story about you in Berkeley um, before you pulled my card, because seeing you as a mom and how you throw out the quote unquote textbook of how to raise your daughter
Mm,
in order to raise your daughter. You threw it all out and said, I don't know. And then you created an opportunity for a relationship so different than even your mother you relationship,
mm,
so different because you gave up everything that you thought you should do in order to raise her, and you said I don't know. And now to watch the two of you in the relationship that you have is so unique, and it not necessarily an example to other mothers and daughters of how to do it. Your two relationship is so unique that Dee might not be able to do that same experience with her daughter and have the relationship, a similar relationship. So I just love this idea of when it came to mothering your child, you said, I, I don't know. I don't know. And the invitation that I feel God is doing the same thing. Like
mm,
each each thing that you take on, when you completely go, I don't know, and sit in that intimacy with him, answers come. When you look at an example of how somebody else is doing it and say, that's the relationship I want, therefore I'll go do that relationship, that's when answers don't come.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And even if you have a, a because like raising your son was very different than raising your daughter. So even if you start a project that is very similar in a lot of ways to another project that you were very successful with, and you say, I'm going to do it just like that, that doesn't work either. It is that throwing it all away, saying, I don't know. Each project you take on is unique and different and completely new. And so it's almost like you can't look at any examples out there. You have to get super intimate with your creator and say, I don't know, in order for answers to come.
I love it. I love it. And there's so much that came up in like the masculine and the feminine of I always talked about how, oh my gosh, I am a man in a woman's body and I don't want to be a man. I love my physical, like, or my feminine body. I love being a woman. However, my mannerisms, my determination, like a lot of how I just function specifically in business and in a lot of life was very masculine. And so I would always joke around about how I have way too much testosterone pumping through my body. But as you were talking, what came up was really how I need to become the feminine in my business. And I've played the masculine part, and God is the masculine part in my business. And I've continued to play the masculine part instead of the feminine part of the receiver of my business. I've been the giver, the doer, the achiever in my business. And God has been asking me for years, Lori, I just want to do this through you. I just want to gift you all of these beautiful things that come from doing business if you would just let me. And so as you were talking about that and throwing it all out, because every other business that I've ever done has been super successful because I have played the masculine part. And so to be able to throw all that out and go, okay, God, I just want to receive is very foreign to me. And recognizing that intimacy that you talked about, that it's going to be completely different, and it's going to be different than how other people do it, because this is a romantic relationship between me and God. It just plays out through this physical manifestation of my business. So yeah. And I love how you use the picture of my daughter and I to tell the story. Because if you had said all those same words, do it like this with God in your business, I would have been like, yeah, I'm totally doing that. Yep, yep. But to give me the picture of this over here and then input it into this was like magic. So
Yeah.
well done, powerful, loving, wise teacher.
So I pulled a card for the group right before we got started, and it is the I am willing to change card. And it says, I am willing to release old negative beliefs. They are only thoughts that stand in my way. My new thoughts are positive and fulfilling. And I find it so cool, again, just like bringing this back to how the collective works, D standing strong, and how foreign that can feel at times. And then Lori, like, yeah, throwing it all out. I am willing to change it, like just having that as an affirmation. I'm willing to change and feel uncomfortable and change and rest in that intimate relationship with my creator.
Yeah, and the same for you in stepping into how
Yeah.
uncomfortable is it when I said to you, like, oh, you have, like, it felt really good to go, oh, you have ascended masters that are helping you. But to say, nah, girl, you're the ascended master, right?
Yeah.
And going,
Yep.
how does that feel? And are
Yeah.
we willing to take on these roles that we play and have it not interfere with who we are in that identity level of just being a child of God, made in the image, right?
Yeah.
So good. Well done, Bridgit.
Yeah.
Well done, Decline. Yes, this was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up. Yeah. So if this is fun for you guys, if this was fun, if you're like, man, I wish I was D sitting in that seat, getting something personal just for me, please let us know. Down in the description of this, there is a calendar link. We would love to have you join us and play with us. We'd love it. Anything else, Bridgit?
I don't think so. Nope. This was awesome. So thank you so much.
All right. See you next time.